Hello and welcome to another macro video. Today we've got some new macros to look at and a spelling hint and also a wildcard gotcha, which comes actually from some tutorials that I've seen, wildcard tutorials, people recommending something that doesn't really work properly. So to start off with, showing formatting marks, and up here on the ribbon, if you click on that, as you probably know, you can see these formatting marks, but I find them a little bit in your face. So what I've done is to produce a macro. This is not a new one, the show formatting macro. If I run the macro, then it does what the marker at the top there does. If I run it again, it goes to showing just the paragraph markers, which I find helpful, and then run the macro again and it goes back to no marking at all. But the new macro, I thought, well, actually it might be useful to be able to select the different formatting marks that you might want or not. So let's have a look at that. So we run the macro and what we get is a menu. I'm not sure how much of that you can see. It's got 6 different items. Each one has a number, and you can select which of the formatting marks you show by which numbers you select. Obviously, if I just do 1 return, then it shows the paragraph marks. If I run it again, if I do 2, then it shows the spaces. Instead, you can see here, look, there are some spaces on the end of those 2 paragraphs. But the point is then, if you add 2 and 1 and put in 3, then you get the paragraph markers and the spaces. So that's the basis on which it works, that you select the different numbers and display whichever marks you do or don't want. I've tried to put the most obviously wanted marks on the low numbers so they're easier to add up. So for example, if I was to put in 7, then I would get, we want some tabs, don't we? There's some tabs down there, look. So the tabs are now showing, and if I show you the other one, we've got don't show the highlighting. So that one's backwards. So if I put 8, then I get none of the paragraph markers, but the highlighting has all disappeared. If I want to go back, I can run the macro and just type 0. And in fact I can do the same again. I can do it by, let's run it and put, let's say, let's go back to 7 again. If I run it and just press return, that's the same as typing 0, and so they all switch off. Okay, there's one more there to show you, and that's the hyphen, well, 2 more, hyphens and bookmarks. So if I do, well, I can add them all up, or I can just cheat and type 99. So it puts them all. So we've got the tabs and the spaces and the paragraph markers. We've also got these, which are the optional hyphens. So those, if I use watchar, that shows you that's an optional hyphen. Unicode 31, ASCII 31. Yep, that's about it. So I can get rid of those with 0. Oh, and bookmarks. Have I got any bookmarks? I can create some bookmarks. Let's put a bookmark there. So if I put on the bookmarks, which was 32, then you can see there's a sort of long caret symbol there, which is showing that there's a bookmark there. Okay, what's next on the list? Next on the list is add footnote. This is an old one, but I've actually updated it to provide a facility that somebody wanted. They asked could they insert a footnote, but in a different style. And on the where are we, references, we can insert a footnote. So there's the footnote down there, and the number is up at the top here somewhere, wherever it was. If I double click on that, Oh, it's gone right at the top there. Okay, so there's my footnote, but it's in the original style. If we look at the actual macro, which is FOO footnote add, there it is. If we edit that, we've got a different style. I can put a footnote style here. Footnote is heading 2, and these two lines here, one of which is commented out, are the ones that select the style. So if I comment that one out, which is the normal footnote style, and make this one now the active line, this will then make the style heading 2. So let's try that. So if I add a footnote there with footnote add, then it adds it down the bottom here, but it adds it in heading 1 style, which you can see it is if we go to there. So we've got heading 1 style for that footnote. Okay, let's get rid of those. Right, here we go. What's next? Okay, adding accents. Somebody said that, was it possible to add accents into text? In other words, they were trying to, I think it was French, they were trying to work in, they'd got the text that had come through and it had got no accents at all, and they wanted to add them. And was there a quick way to do it? So I produced these set of macros. So if you want an acute accent, then you run the char to acute, and if you watch where the cursor is in the, well, let's put it in the word, well, leave it in the word grave. So if I run char to acute, the cursor goes along the line and finds the next vowel and makes it acute. And if I run char to grave now, it goes along and finds the E there, and it works also on the capitals. So if I do acute, oh, it works on the O as well. Okay, so it caught that one, grave on the A there. So it will go along and do the different ones. We can have an umlaut, we can have a circumflex. What's a circumflex? I don't know, on the O, but circumflex is that one. Yeah, so that's char to circumflex, and then char to various accents. That was I just gave it another name. That one gives me it gives me the C cedilla, and it gives me N. Have we got any N's? Yes, there's one there, look. So if I do that one, the same, this is the various accents again. Oh, it gets the C there, look, and goes along and gets the N. Now, the only slight snag, of course, is that if it actually gives all the accents to all the vowels. So if I use that same one, it goes all the way, it does them all, which might be inconvenient. So what I'm suggesting is that you can fiddle around with the macro slightly. So if I look up char to, let's say char to acute, and edit that one. Well, on this grave one here, these two lines here show you the accent, the characters that it finds and the accents that it produces instead. That's the same pattern for all of them. All the macros are in fact the same macro, but just with different lines at the beginning here, the chars, the my chars, and the my accents. So with these ones here, I thought, well, with French, if we were, the grave accent only goes on to A's, E's, and U's. I think that's right. So you can cut down all these other ones. So you don't want a grave on an I or a grave on an O. So it's up to you to fiddle around with them to make it so that it goes along the line to find the accent you actually want to change, as opposed to having to go right up to the letter. So in other words, you don't have to go right up to the letter you want. You can do it from sort of further back, which makes it quicker. Okay, so I think that is about all on that one. Get rid of that. What's next? Oh yes, I was going to mention Accentalize. It's not a new macro, but a couple of people have had problems with this macro. It basically looks at the words, I mean, like we've done here, where you've got words which have or haven't got accents on them. So in other words, it's the same word except that one of them's got accents and the other one hasn't. So accentalize, the aim of it is to show you how many times a word occurs, say with the C cedilla, and how many times it occurs with just an ordinary C. That I was told that was of some significance. It was particularly for Spanish-based people that were asking me for that. That's where I produced the accentalize. The trouble is that people are assuming that accentalize works in the same way as various of my other alyze macros. In other words, they get the text, they run the macro, and they expect it to produce a list of the variations of the different accents. However, that's not how it works. You have to actually have a list of the words in the document, a frequency list. In other words, if I load one up, you have to have a list like this one, a word list, where somebody or something has produced this list of all the different words and the frequency of them. I have a macro, sorry, not a macro, I have a computer program that does this, and it's not generally available, but it works for me. I believe there's one available whose name escapes me. Hold on a sec. Yeah, remember now, it's TextStat. There's a macro called TextStat, which you can get off the internet, and that will produce a frequency list like that. So when you've got that frequency list, then you can run the macro accentalize. So ACC accentalize, there it is, run that. So it goes through the list and it produces a result here. So it's telling me that cafe without any acute is 4 times and cafe with is twice, and the facade there and so on. So that's not the demonstration text, that's just the word list that I was analysing there. So if you look in the word list for the word facade, then there's facade with the sort of 2 of those, and facade with the accent, 2 of those. And these are sorted alphabetically, and facade with a C cedilla actually comes at the end of the FA somethings. There we go, so that's that. Okay, let's get rid of that, and let's get rid of the other one. Let's get rid of that. Okay, and okay, so we're on now to one hint on spelling, and that is, somebody was saying that when they finished doing a job, an editing job, at the end they then run the spell checker. And now I don't want to judge other people by my standards, but usually what I have done in doing an edit is I've corrected, inverted commas, corrected something, but I've actually typed the word incorrectly, the replacement word, and haven't noticed and have gone on. So any spelling errors that are there are going to be pretty obvious ones, I would have thought. And so you can pick those out very quickly by using spelling error lister. So if I run that on this document, so let's run it. Where are we? Spelling error lister is this keystroke. There we go. UK spelling, yes. So off it goes. 70%, 60%, 40, 30, 20. There we go. So it's produced a list down the bottom of the document, and I can look down it and see keystalk. Okay, so that's my wrong one. My mistyping. Anything else there? Remiba, yeah, another my. So in other words, it's very quick. That's why I'm recommending it. It's a quick way to pick out, is there somewhere where there's an obvious misspelling, so I can then go from Remiba up and find it. Look, there it is. Back down again, find the other one, keystalk, go up using instant find up, keystalk. Okay, so that's a very quick way of finding those spelling errors. And then finally we've got a spelling gotcha. sorry, a wildcard gotcha. Yeah, I had a look at a number of demonstrations and tutorials that people have produced, both online and commercial ones, and I found one particular gotcha which appeared more than once. So I want to illustrate it, and you know, then you can avoid it when you try to do wildcards. Okay, here's a wildcard. What does it do? It's the first marker is the beginning of a word, last marker end of a word. So we're obviously looking for a word there. A to Z, so that's lowercase letters, and this 2 comma says 2 or more of those. So it's looking for a word that's got 2 or more lowercase letters. So if I use my wildcard find down to go down, yeah, it's found me. You see, it's missed thank. It misses if, and it finds you, find blah blah blah. Okay, so that's that one. That works okay. This one, okay, same sort of thing, but we've got capital letters, so I find down wild for that. So it's picked up those two. UK, it didn't pick up these because those have got numbers in the word, so those aren't they don't fit with that wildcard find. Okay, now this is the one, this is the gotcha. This is the one that I've seen several times in tutorials. A to Z, apparently that is saying find anything with upper and lowercase letters. So let's try that. Yep, thank me, that's alright. You know, the mixed capitals, and it'll find all these. That's all fine. What about down here with the nightingale? Yep, that finds those because they're mixed in inverted commas. They're all uppercase, but it finds all those. Okay, now let's go a bit further down and look at this sentence here and see what we get here. Seeing, yep, the jump. It jumps past facade, catches the new, misses cafe, give me, and it misses the déjà. Okay, so this, but what about the original one here? Let's try this one. Find down wild. Okay, let's try that one. It misses seeing because that's got capitals in it. That's got the lowercase. Now it finds those with the accented characters. So although it's A to Z, it actually includes the accented characters, which is presumably what you would want. So I've illustrated what it does in the text there, but a good way to look at it is to look at to work out what's going on. Oh, this isn't showing me where I am. Up a bit, here we go. Right, this is just the characters from one of my appendices in my book. It's a list of the ASCII characters from 33 down to 255. Now, if we look at this one here, this is the A to Z that was recommended in the tutorials, and you note that it doesn't pick up the capitals. And not only that, but I've run a find and replace that will make the characters, those A to Z characters, bigger and bold so we can see them. And look, it's picked up these characters as well, because in ASCII terms they come between the 65 and the Z, the 122. So those this is probably not, it probably doesn't matter that those characters would be picked up in part of a word in inverted commas, but as I say, what does matter is if you actually want it to find the accented characters. And if you look at this set here, this is the set that's produced if you do it properly, and the proper way to do it is to say A to Z and A to small a to Z, and that will give you all those characters. So let's go back up and try it out to put those in to there. So if we do that instead, wildcard down, okay, that picks up all those, of course, down to here, and we get seeing the facade of the new cafe déjà. Okay, so that's it, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.